Hello, hello, Crystal here. Welcome to another episode of the Interactive Immersive HQ on creating generative artwork that is influenced by famous artists. And recently, I finished watching the Netflix series of Andy Warhol, so I was kind of inspired of doing Andy Warhol portraits. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, here I just Googled Andy Warhol portraits, and this screen printing highly contrast pop portraits. And I thought of this like merit of having a series in a different color schemes. So I made this photo booth, and as you can tell, the image is kind of glitching, and that's just my Kinect device. So it's not the network, just letting you know. So I made a button, so it has a countdown, 1, 2, 3. And in my folder, it just takes the photo. So here you can see, and you can see like, this is a previous attempt. And it just counts up, down, counts up, yep. So I am using a Kinect in this tutorial. I'm using Kinect Azure, but you can also use a Kinect 2. And I will also show how it can work with just a webcam. It doesn't look as, the colors doesn't come as cohesive, or it doesn't get the threshold of your silhouette, but you work with what you can. So I'm going to delete everything and we'll start this tutorial fresh. So in your clean network, I will start by adding a Kinect top. So I'm using Kinect Azure, but if you're using a regular Kinect, you can use a Kinect and put it into one in color, another one in player index. If you're using a webcam, use a video device in and select your device. So if it's a webcam, choose a webcam. But since I'm using a Kinect Azure, I will use a Kinect Azure select. So and I connect this, so telling it's reading this. Now I'll have one color, and I'm going to copy and paste this and have another one be player index. So again, if you use Kinect 2, set it in player index and other one for color. For both Kinects, put a line image to other camera. So now if I middle click, they're both 1920 by 1080. So have them both the same. And during this tutorial, I'm going to use different parameters, and I'll tell you when it gets there, but your numbers might be different depending on your lighting and which device you're choosing. So for this one, first I will add a edge top. And the edge, I will play with some of these parameters. So what I had before, the black levels, I had 0.45 and 2, but you can just kind of play with something that works well with you. And you can also tweak this later. And I'll have this color to be a yellow. Nice, nice. And then I'm going to add a threshold and connect it to the color. And this threshold, I'll change this to less or equal and play with the luminance. Yeah, I'll keep it to 0.5. I'm going to add another threshold, and this threshold, I will have it to be greater, and I'll change the luminance to 0.275. Awesome. So I'm going to have these all be different layers, but what the Kinect coming in handy is I want to cut this background and only have my silhouette of it. So, oops. So in this index, I will add a threshold to this. And in this threshold, I'll change this to 0.05. And you see that there's this black background, and we can fix that by changing this Kinect to on the second tab, make it to 16-bit flow. And now you see the background's over. So making sure, again, this is 1920 by 1080, and this is 1920 by 1080. So I want to crop this so I only have the silhouette over here. So I'll add a multiply. So now you see I just get my torso over here. And I will also add a transform after this. Now make this 1 point scale 1.1 to 1.1. Okay, so all of these are going to be different layers that stack on top of each other, kind of creating like different layers of the screen printing that happening. Ooh, connects back. Cool. And I also have one layer of this, so it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start adding the different colors, and I will do that by adding a constant and make sure it's the same resolution. So 1920 by 1080. It's 1920 by 1080. And you can choose whatever color you want. I will have, looking at, back up these portraits, I'll start with having like a light pink color for the face. So light pink, lighter. Yep. And then I will just, okay. Look, oh, pink. Cool. So that will be on top of this layer. Next, I'll do this. And for this, I actually want kind of a gradient color. So I'll use a ramp. And for this ramp, I'll change this to vertical. Make sure the resolution is the same, 1920 by 1080. And I'll have this to be like a brown to black. Yeah. So brown hair, black, yeah. So yeah, brown to black. Like that. So again, another multiply. This. So this will actually be on top of this or the under. We'll play around. And the next color, I'll add another constant. Actually, I'm going to just copy and paste this constant twice. So one for this and one for this. So this one, I will choose to have, sorry, you can see me thinking over here. I'll have it to be a blue. And I have this to be a purple. Dark purple. Cool. And then multiply. Cool. So now we're going to stack all these together. Easy with a composite top. And I will change this to over. So order of operations. I'm going to add more after this, and I'm going to put this as the background. So I'll have this first. And I believe I want this second under it. How does it if this is over? Can play with like, what if this was on top? Okay. And this under, pretty cool. And then this in the way back. So I have this like color over it. And then I will just want a background color. So I'm going to have this be a orange. And once we have this all layered together, we can start playing with like, I think this purple is way too bright. So I will make it to a different purple color. And this blue to be a more bluey blue. Does that make sense? Okay. You can continue tweaking this. I'm gonna just say I'm okay with this for now. And I'm gonna add a fit top to make a square. So right now it's 1000 resolution. I'm good with that. So I'll change this to fit outside and cool. So now I want to have 4 of this in different color schemes. And we can do that in a few different ways. One, you can I like to use this color picker tool. I believe in a previous tutorial I talked about this color lever palette picker. So if you Google TouchDesigner color lever palette, you'll find it in the Generative website, and I will try to make sure that we link it in the description so you can download this. And I have it saved in my tools. So let's see, color lever picker right here. And from this, you can just pick already selected palettes. But you can also get a ramp and make your own with doing different colors. This is not a good palette, but I'm just kind of showing you that you don't have to use this tool, but I just like to use this tool. So with this image, I'm going to add a null, and I'll also have a lookup. So if you have this and then you hook it to a second one, it creates a different color scheme. So showing with this, ooh, actually it doesn't look too bad. I might actually use this. So I'm going to copy and paste this and select it to a different one. You make this, you're active, you can select a different palette. This is not really, I like this one. So I'm going to copy and paste this one more time. Because I don't want to make another color picker tool, I'm actually going to lock this and disconnect it. Disconnect this. I'm going to disconnect this, unlock this, and hook this onto the 4th one. So many wires. And choose another palette. Cool. So I have 4. If you want to do more, feel free to do so. But I'll use a layout top. I'm going to select all of these and drag it over. So now they're stacked in a row. You can keep it this way, but I prefer to have it as a grid. And now I have a grid of me. I'm going to add one more null here. And I'll add this, all this out. Cool. The flipping is kind of annoying, but you can see that I'm in a grid of 4. I can stop there, but I want to make it like a photo booth. So having a button where I can take it and it can be in my folder. So I'll show you how we can do that. So I'll start with building the countdown. So I have a countdown of 3. I will get a text off. And I want this to cover the whole frame. So this is 1000, 1000. Then I will make this also 1000 to 1000. To 1000. Now the text is quite small, so I'll change this auto size font to auto fit always. So now it's the whole frame, and I'll change the text to 1. Paste this 2, paste this, and make this 3. So I will switch between them. But, so if I layered, I'll just add it over top over this. But if I switch between this, it'll still always have a number between having either like 1 or 3. So having it so in the preview, there isn't any number, and when it's taking a photo, there isn't a number, we'll need to have a blank. So I'll do a constant top, also same resolution, 1002 by 1000, and make this alpha 0. Copy this and copy time, and I'll plug this in. I'll change the order operation, so having constant first and then last. Then when you layer over it, it will start with nothing, number, and nothing. Okay. We'll layer this over this. A over top, and put the layout on the bottom, and this. Great. So now we need something to trigger that it will count over it. And that's what we're going to do. Start with adding a button. So a button comp. I just want to change this name. So I'm going to go inside this background and name this photo. And right now when I click it, it clicks down, but I want it to just pulse. It clicks down and clicks up. So this button time, I'm going to change to momentarily. So then it just clicks and it just does a pulse. So if you want to see the difference, so momentarily, it just goes 1 to 0. But if it's like I think it was on toggle up, it'll go 1 and you have to wait to click again to be 0. So I don't want that. I just want it to pulse 1 time and be good. So added a null. Now I wanted to trigger something. So I want to add this trigger chop. Okay. And I'm going to add a trail so we can see what's going on here. So if I click on this trigger, it just goes like 1 and back down. But I want to go from 0 to 4 and back down and go back to 0 quite fast. I can do that by, on the attack page, I will change some stuff. So this attack shape, I want it to be linear, so it can just go straight up and then down. Or kind of straight up at least and kind of down. So I will do attack page, delay length, I'll keep it to 0. Attack length, I want to be a little bit slower, so 1.5. The peak level to 4, so it goes to 4 and down, and have the peak length to 1. So let's see what's the difference. So now when I click, it'll go to 4, and then stay at 4 and drop back down. It has a little hump over there, but it's fine. So if I click, I'll connect this null to the trigger, and I click on a button, it'll go 4, and then drop back down. Great. I'll add a math after this. And I just don't want it to be an integer, so rather having decimal numbers, I'll add this integer to floor. So we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back down so it doesn't get stuck. Okay. No, after this, and I'll add another math after this trigger, and I'll change this from a range 0 to 4 to 0 to 1. So this one just goes to 1. Once it hits 4, it goes back to 0. So this one, I'll change this to number switch. I'll call this number switch. This will control the switch. This will control the photo taking. And so I will add a movie file out. I'll have this trigger the record. I need to change this right now. It's a movie. I'll change this to images. And I'll change this. You can do PNG or JPEG. I'll do a PNG. So, a lot of steps here. I'll change this. I'll reference this over here. So for the trigger on the sustain, it was on a 1.2. If you change it to a 0, then when you click on it, it goes 1, 2, 3, and blank. So those are good. And this, I wanted to trigger the photo taking. So I'm going to drag this to record. But now if I take it, I'll just find a place where I want to put it. Save it here. But now when I take the photo, it'll just keep being the same file name. So I want to make it so I can have it to count up. And so I want to make a counter top. And I'll put a null on this. So every time I click on it, it counts up. So I will make it so when it takes the photo, it'll also count up. So I'll call this NDW photos underscore. And I'm going to change this to refer to this. And I'll do a little bit of Python. Show you. And copy and paste this. And I drag this over here, see what will happen. It'll call count one VO1. You can also do 0, saying the first value, which will start with 0. But I want it to be an int, so int parentheses. Then won't have the 0.0, which is be a 5. And I want it to be a string, so str parentheses. So I'm gonna just copy this over here. So I want to do Andy photo plus, we have suffix. I'll do Andy Warhol plus the string plus suffix. Oops, I didn't like that. So I'll add 2 pluses. Cool. So now it'll be Andy photo underscore 5.01. I'm actually gonna delete this suffix thing and put parentheses up. PNG. And let's test this. We'll do some photo tests. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can tell I'm having too much fun with this. And on my desktop, accidentally put on the desktop, I see photos. And see this last one. Over here, the photo is 21, and the counter is 21. I hope you had fun following along in this tutorial. Again, you don't really have to do a Kinect. So if we didn't have a Kinect and it's connect to here, it just gives a different result. You play around with the parameters. Like this would be what would happen if it's a webcam rather than using a Kinect. Every lighting is different, so play around with what thresholds works for you, do different color combinations, and I would love it if you can share your creation if you complete this tutorial. And hope to see you next time in another episode. Bye!
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you're serious about taking your TouchDesigner and interactive skills to the next level, I highly recommend you check out the Interactive and Immersive HQ Pro. It's the only educational resource and community of its kind for TouchDesigner and interactive professionals. You can learn more by checking out the link in the description. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and the little bell icon for more awesome free content.